friends, it's Megan here and this is the Chord Pairs Ladder. This example is G major mixed with A minor. This is based on an exercise that I learned in a workshop at Wellyfest 2018 with Chris Stone. I loved the exercise. I thought it targeted mechanical technique and internalizing music theory at the same time, and it was quite satisfying to listen to. The only trouble was it was quite advanced, and so I built this ladder up to that exercise so that I can share it with intermediate students. The chord pairs exercise is actually great for all instruments, not just strings, but rung 1 applies only to string instruments. So if you're playing a wind instrument, you can skip ahead to rung 2. For string instruments, the first rung of the ladder is right hand only, whether that be a bow or a pick. We're going to find all the different triplet rhythm patterns, or jig rhythms, that exist between two neighboring strings. Let's take the middle two strings. Our first pattern goes lower note, upper note, upper note. We're going to try repeating those a few times. The trick on the fiddle is to make this little circle that our bow hand is drawing in the air as small as possible. Not by clenching any muscles, but just by using the smaller moving parts of our arm, keeping the bigger parts in the upper arm out of the picture. I suggest pausing here and getting used to each of the different triplet rhythm patterns, and then joining me to try playing through all of them continuously. We're going to repeat each one 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second rung of the ladder for all instruments is knowing our arpeggios. An arpeggio has the same structure as a chord. The only difference is an arpeggio has the notes played one by one, and a chord has them all played at once. So in this example, our arpeggios are G major and A minor. We'll start with G major. So the notes in the G major arpeggio are G, B, and D. So we're going to find all the G's, B's, and D's right from the bottom to the top of the instrument. And we'll play them in sets of 3, like this. Now stepping down, starting on B this time. Stepping down again to D. And we'll start from that top B there and come down with the same pattern. If that was challenging mental work for you, then you want to stay on this rung here for a little while. You can mix up the patterns and bring in some of those triplet rhythms here, something like this. And so on. Let's go on to A minor. We're going to do the same thing for A minor. So the 3 notes in the A minor arpeggio are A, C, and E. We're going to find all of the A's, C's, and E's right from the bottom to the top of the instrument. And we'll play them in that same rhythm with sets of 3 that we played before. Stepping down. And we'll restart from that same note at the top to come down. Here on rung 3, we're going to start mixing those two chords together, using the same sets of 3 notes that we did in rung 2. G major is going to come first, so our first 3 notes will be G, B, and D. Now we're looking for a note in the A minor arpeggio. The next available note is E, so we'll play E, C, and A, stepping down. Changing back to G major, and the next available note is B, so we'll play B, D, and G, going up. I suggest pausing here and getting comfortable with those patterns, repeating each set of 3 notes as many times as you need to give yourself time to think about what the next chord and the next available note is, and then trying it together with me. We're going to repeat each of those 3 notes 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a quick note about 4th fingers for fiddle players. Most of the 4th fingers in this exercise are optional. It's fine to use the next open string instead if you prefer doing it that way. When we come down at the end though, there is one pattern which won't work with open strings. When we play here, we have to jump from the C right to the A. Crossing 2 strings is too hard for the bow at this speed, so using the pinky there makes it a lot easier. If you've made it this far with me, then we can try what we actually did in that 2018 workshop, which is mixing 2 7th chords together. We used G major 7, so G major major 7 with an F sharp in it, and A minor 7. And we had no repeats of each note, so each one happened just once. It sounded like this. Here's an example of a sticky point, because these 2 arpeggios actually have one note in common. Both G major 7 and A minor 7 have a G in there. So we just landed on that G, which means we have to skip that note when we're searching for the next one to change chords. So you can do these exercises with any pair of chords, anything that you might find next to each other in a tune. The original example, G major plus A minor, is not what classical musicians would call closely related chords. But it happens all the time in folk music. The 10-penny bit is an example of a tune in A Dorian minor, which is full of G major chords, alternating with those A minor chords. And that's an easy example because they have no notes in common. Doing any pair of chords that have a note in common is a little more complex, but it can certainly be done. In classical music, the most obvious related chords are 1 and 4 or 1 and 5, those being kind of the same thing, depending which direction you look at it from. And if you want to do ones like that, the trick is to start with the chord that is not the tonic, so the one that is not the key chord of the tune. For example, if we want to do D major and G major, we're going to start with D major and then go to the G major. The lowest available note in D major is this A here, so it would start off like this. I just landed on a D there, which is the note in common between these two chords, so I need to skip that when I'm searching for the next available note in D major and start on this F sharp here.